big effect at all. So let's make a few announcement. Okay, okay. The first announcement is we today the lecture will be carry on the we'll finish the remaining parts of the lecture 9, the part 2 of the nervous system, and then after the completion of the lecture 9, we will have a short break, and then we start the lecture 10, which is the muscular system. And finally, I will upload here to explain the answer key of assessment 2. So my colleague has already um, uh, double checked the answer of the answer. Okay, but we need to, but another colleagues because of work from home, I approved the corrected and double check the result, and she will upload as soon as possible because you know the pandemic here in Hong Kong already over 100 now. Okay, so my colleague and I, okay, will try our best. Okay, but she will upload the result by this few days before this week. I promise you. No problem. So finish correction and finish all the markings. Okay. And the okay, so this is the first announcement for the today's arrangement. Okay, second arrangement is the tutorial 2. Because of the pandemic, um, all the tutorials and lectures will be done online, Zoom, and the second tutorial will be on 14th of December, and the full and only one time slot of the tutorial for both classes starts from 10:30 to 1:30. Okay, 10:30 to 1:30, 3 hours. Okay, and will be done online. And third is about 3 students. Okay, so 3 students. If you so you are the three remaining QT that I'm going to meet you tomorrow. So please be online tomorrow at 11 o'clock in the morning. And the final one announcement is the scientific instrumentation will be rescheduled. Okay, so you can read my chat box now. The scientific, so no assessment on 11. Okay, 11 of the 12, and the scientific admin. So scientific, okay, the scientific instrumentations assessment will be postponed to after 20th of the December. Okay, so to the after 20th of the December. Okay, right. OK，好。OK，so I speak in Cantonese。OK，好啦，今日嘅節目咧就係咁。我哋今日嘅上半節咧就會講埋咧第9堂書啦，即係上一次嘅Part Two 嘅 Nervous System 咧就未講晒嘅，我講咗差唔多60%啦。咁今日應該會花1個鐘頭時間就會講埋第9課啦。咁我哋有個 break 啦，跟住咧就睇第10堂咧就會講埋第10課書啦，就係 Muscular System。咁咧就會講完之後咧，亦都應該有時間剩咧，就會講埋咧嗰個嘅答案啦，即係 assessment two 答案。咁又因為而家係疫情關係咧，咁啲同事咧盡力喺尋日咧已經喺，因為可能我唔知我 office 我唔知 office 嘅 practice 啊，老師就 flexible 好多嘅，即係可以喺屋企或者喺 office 咁樣樣啦。咁我都要翻 office 嘅，不過今日就喺某度地方啦，唔講啦 OK 啊，咁啊唔喺 office 噶啦 OK。咁啊，因為我哋減少聚集啦，咁所以琴日咧，我盡快咧已經將所有嘅答案咧就覆卷啦，即係尋日啲同事已經對好晒啦，我度再 double check 一次啦。咁應該就呢個星期內咧就會將所有嘅分數咧擺上你哋嘅 show 嘅。咁大家留意啦，今日、聽日、後日咧應該會盡快show 嗰邊會公布成績表啦，即係你嘅 assessment two。咁兩個各佔咗60%㗎啦，即係話咧100分裏面咧，你將兩個 assessment 加埋咧就係60分即係嗰邊攞，即係100%裏面攞幾分啊？即係例如話2次攞30分嘅，即係60分啦，恭喜你咯，即係攞60分啦已經係。咁你其餘嗰40%就係個 final assessment 啦。好，咁跟住 tutorial two。咁咧就因為疫情咧，我哋就將佢變成一個 time slot，因為 Zoom 咧就好簡單啫，咁大家都喺 Zoom 嗰邊 咁啊，根據以往嘅經驗咧，亦都問題都唔多嘅。咁啊，當然我都會要啲 chit chat 時間咧，就變咗我會再講一次呢3課書嘅，就分別係 Nervous System 1、2啦，同埋 Endocrine System。咁我分2個時段嘅。咁同學，如果你係邊個時段咧，你係唔識咧，就喺即係唔想問問題咧，就係分嗰段時段啦，即係10點半至12點鐘咧，就係專係就係 for Nervous System 嘅環節啦。咁另外咧，如果想問關於 endocrine system 啦，即係內分泌科咧，就會喺12點至1點半之間問嘅嚇。咁記住分開2個時段。咁同學，如果你係有問題咧，喺當然其他問題可以問啦，歡迎啦。咁啊，如果其他問題咧就都可以隨時問嘅咁樣，即係如果係其他問題就歡迎咁樣啊，咁就因為而家就好啲啦，因為就而家係全網上嘅講課咧。咁基本上我就睇 Chatbox 就可以兼顧睇埋 Chatbox 啦，因為 Chat 咧喺以往嘅 Face to Face Plus 呢個嘅 Zoom 咧兩個邊係同步，係好難兼顧兩邊。咁今日就好方便啦，大家就好容易兼顧到嗰個嘅Chatbox 啦。咁就可以喺 Chat 啦，或者係喺聲音裏面問問題嘅。OK，好啦，咁就 Zoom 啦。咁時間日子係12月14號嘅。咁另外咧嗰個嘅地方都係喺 Zoom 嘅。好，咁另外咧最尾咧就係一個關於嗰個嘅 TUT 啦。咁啊，第3部分係 TUT 啦。咁3位嘅組員啦，3位同學啦，梁嘉誠啦、宋鳳文咧同埋陳俊林嘅。咁分別係 A、B 班同學咧。咁聽日11點至12點咧可以上 Zoom 個 consultation 咧，就同我傾下偈嘅。咁如果問題都可以聽日嘅朝頭早9點半、12點半都可以問問題啦。好，咁另外咧就係關於嗰個 scientific instrumentation 啦。咁我而家 share 咗嗰個嘅所以 I need to share the Zoom the show first, okay? So here's a class A. So please read the sorry about the zooming. Okay, sorry. Okay, I share the but my show first. Okay, so this is my show. Okay. Okay, hello, my soul. Okay, sorry. Okay, and the scientific. So this is so we have revised the timetable. So again, so here, the final assessment has been postponed. Okay, from 11th of the February to after 20th of February. So you will receive the timetable very soon, maybe next week. Okay, so but I will announce it as soon as I receive the dates of the scientific and A&P assessment, okay, of the dates and the time, okay, but should be afternoon. Both scientific and A&P will be afternoon session, but I haven't confirmed the dates yet, so please wait, sit back, patient, wait. 好啦，咁另外就係嗰個 scientific 咧，咁你見到個 timetable 已經係改咗啦。變成 TBC TBC 就係 to be confirmed 咁解嘅。咁咧另外就係喺考晒嘅，記住個 syllabus 咧就係 from lecture 1 to lecture 8。Remember the syllabus cover from session 1 to 12。OK， all OK。And 記住啦，係 lecture 1 to lecture 8嘅。咁唔緊要，我都會有 announcement 嘅。咁我其實早嘅 announcement 都有同大家講咗嘅。即係如果大家上 announcement 咧，會見到咧 reschedule 呢個字嘅，即係話咧個時間咧就會 reschedule 咗啦，即係咧唔會再係11號啦。記住係有 final assessment，但係時間改動咗，日子改咗，係褪遲咗嘅。咁咧同學們可以再多啲時間温書啦。咁咧就改到幾時咧？咁A&P 同埋呢個 scientific 都會喺20號之後嘅先至考。咁時間就應該定咗啦。佢問咗我嘅，咪問咗我，即係佢知會我，即係晏晝。但日子咧仲未 confirm 嘅但係咧我以我所知就係20號打後啦。咁咧就去到6號之間啦。總之係20號至6號之間嘅兩個試都係得唔得 ？OK，any clear of the announcement？OK。好 ，OK，thank you。好啦，有位同學就答咗我啦，代表鄧小姐，多謝晒，好啦，應咗我啦，其他都關機嘅應該係，都唔緊要，唔使多人咁答喎，成棚咁樣 OK 啊 ，OK。 Okay, thank you. Okay, so yes, so let's start the lecture today. Okay, on the lecture 9. Okay, so sorry about that. Okay. Hang on a minute. Okay, sorry. I need to open the file first. Okay.
同埋嗰個 meeting 我講咧，我希望咧有一日咧可以咧除低口罩戴口罩。
係啦，我哋聽下啲聲音先嚇，唔好意思啊，有人娛樂我哋啊，有人講我壞話係嘛？OK 啊，錄咗音㗎啦，OK 啊。Okay, so we can start the lecture today, the continuation of the last lecture on the part 2 of the nervous system. Okay. Right, so let's move on. So we have finished the lecture. Sorry, so we have finished the brain. Okay, so let's begin from let's begin from the spinal cord first. The spinal cord again. Okay, although I think we have finished off the spinal cord in class A, but I just have a mini revision. Okay, so spinal cord is located, okay, buried, okay, or inside the and protected by the vertebral column. Okay, so these are the figures showing these are general size of the length of the spinal cord. Okay, so the function of the spinal cord is to receive and to receive the signals from the peripheral nervous system and the central nervous system. And another part is the motor system, is to execute this, the order to the motor system of the peripheral system. Okay, right. So this is the flow chart showing you about the reflex. Okay, so it is in opposite to the layers of the cerebral cortex. So let's take a look of these pictures. Okay, so the pain receptor is example. Which is the sensation that I'm going to talk later. The first session is to receive the signal. Okay, the efferent or sensory sensory stimulus fire the action potential propagates through the dorsal roots, the back door, the back of the side of the spinal cord, and connected with the interneurons in the middle. So because of the dense of the cell body of the neuron, so it's make gray color. So the gray color represents the cell body of the, okay. So the gray matter, which means it's about the dense of cell neuronal cell body. Okay, and here the dorsal root. So the dorsal, oh my God. So the dorsal root means the back, okay, the back, okay, and the ventral loop is the front, okay, fronts, okay. The right matter obviously is an axon, the bundles of the axon, okay. So the nerve ending or bundles, okay. So and then the interneuron receive and interpret and pass the signal to the motor neurons, okay. So the endings here, the motor neurons is so long, can be 1 meters long, and connected to up to several related muscle, okay. This area, so you can, okay, withdraw your fingers away from the sharp, okay, objects, okay. So this is the reflex, okay. All right, so let's take a look for the next page, okay. So that's all about the central nervous system. So we move on the peripheral nervous system, okay. So here is the organization tables So in the final section, we go back to the efferent divisions, which means the somatic and visceral sensations. So they receive the informations. So there are several kinds of the sensory receptors, and they come to the CNS through the PNS. And here, and shortly describe about the somatic and autonomic nervous system. Somatic nervous system mainly control the bones attached to muscle, which is the skeletal muscle. So we can control the action. For example, my eyeball movements, my facial expressions, okay, my head movements, and my body movement, etc. And other parts of the body, for example, visceral. Now, what's the meaning of visceral? Here, visceral means internal organs. Okay, so visceral. So there's few words. Visceral means inner organ, inner organs. Okay. Examples: the heart, the smooth muscles, the salivary glands, the tears of your eyes, and your glands, sweat glands, vacuous, digestive juice, etc. So they are involuntary control, okay, by the stimulus, okay, or they have a rhythmatic of the action. For example, the heart rate is regularly keep the heart beating. They're auto regulated, okay, and but some of the but some of the reaction is respond to stimulus. For example, blood vessels, so they dilated or constricted by various stimulus. For example, the temperature, the about the stress, etc. Okay, and here for autonomic is under control by these two optimistic action of the parasympathetic and sympathetic divisions. Okay, right. So let's take a look for the somatic nervous system. Okay, so it's really straightforward. Okay, it's really straightforward. So let me clear the, yeah, it's really straightforward. So this is the somatic neurons, the motor neurons. Okay, so they have a really so how to, as a last previous lectures, one of the features of the motor neurons is some of them have a very long axon, okay, connected to several of the muscle fiber or the skeletal muscles. So they are, so the muscle fiber is serve as an effector. Effector means the outcome. So they keep, so they cause a contractions, okay, and this is running, okay, towards the end. So this is an executor or effectors, okay. So they consist of about 12 pairs of the cranial nerve and the 31 pairs of the spinal nerve, okay. So I have already described about the cranial nerve, okay, by the brainstem test last lecture. So there are 12, okay, pairs of the nerve, okay. So don't worry, you don't need to memorize each of them, okay. Just so this table is just for your informations, okay. But you need to take it account, take it in your mind in your nursing school, in your others life science or health science subjects in university, okay. But at this level, you don't need to really memorize the names and their motor functions, okay. So that's about the mixed. So the spinal nerve, the mixed of the system, because they receive the information and execute the action. So there are two sets of the neurons, the sensory and motor neurons. So that's it. Okay, so they're mixed because they have two sets. So one receive and one for the motor divisions. Okay, right. So let's move on the auto. So that's it for the somatic, because one example will be described in the muscular system. So how our nerve communicate with the muscles by the neuromuscular junctions, the NMJ. So, and this section will be taught in the lecture 10. Okay, so autonomic. So autonomic means automatic. So they can run it without any of the order. Okay, so they usually manage the visceral functions. For example, the body functions in the organs function in the body. Okay, so they are involuntary. Okay, so the examples are the heart rate, the regulation of blood pressure, temperature, etc. Okay, and the function of the Autonomic nervous system is to maintains the balance, the homeostasis of the body. Okay, keep our body in stable state. Okay, so this is the divisions of the autonomic system, the sympathetic and the parasympathetic. Okay, so they have the ganglion, the relay. So this is example. So how they works is, so this is a presynaptic neurons, okay, going ahead, and there is a interchange, okay, the interchange here. So interchange, so ganglion. Oh my God. Mm. Help me. See. Okay, sorry. Ganglion. Okay, ganglion is the interchange. Okay, interchange site. Okay, ganglion, and then so the electrical signals. So the AP, okay, is transformed into the chemical signals, and again the chemical signals is transformed again into the AP. So this is an interchange, okay, of signals. Is to transform uh, the, uh, uh, the type of the signals from the electrical to chemical and chemical to electrical, etc. Okay, so that is the function of ganglion. Okay, because they can go a variety destinations. Okay, right. So this is the brief function of ganglion. No, don't worry about that. So won't be examined. Okay, won't be asked in the examination. Okay, or the final test. Okay. So let's take a look for the next page. Okay, it's about the subdivisions of the system. Okay, the para. So what is the meaning of the paras? Para means is the calm. Okay, is to help. Is a help. Okay, help is mean to help. Okay, or to calm down. Okay, it's a normal state. Okay, so the sympathetic is govern the normal states of the body. Okay, of the body. Okay, for example, okay, to keep our heart rate about 75, okay, beats per minute. The blood pressure about systole 120 millimercury, and the diastole 80 millimercury. Okay, I took this my own recording this morning is about 120 and 80 perfectly well, and the breathing rate, now breathing rate is semi. Okay, is semi, is can be cautious and concautious. Okay, but no one will count your breathing. So how many? 12 to 15 times per minute. So these are the normal states. So the parasympathetic system is to keep this reading in stable, keep our heart rate 75 beats per minute, keep our blood pressure about 100 millimercury and 80 mercury, and breathing rate about 12 to 15 minutes 15 times per minute. So keep us calm state, relax and calm. Okay. However, in some circumstances, will suddenly change our these figures when we endanger the we face the dangerous condition. For example, when we face a tiger or examination or sudden stress. Okay, so these are our primitive, okay, instinct. Although we are now in the modern world, we won't see the tigers, lions somewhere because we're living in a city, okay, town, city. But sometimes the car coming approaches suddenly, so we maybe encounter danger. So this of the response is primitive. Primitive means they're very old, ancient, but they still implant in the body. It's a program in the body. So this sympathetic means they make us a fast response in the body. For example, the heart rate goes up. For example, when you play a parachute, okay, the parachute, okay, on the jump from the airplane. So you experience the heart rate rising. Okay, and the blood pressure increase because it increase the blood flow. More energy goes to your brain and 4 limbs because you're ready to fight and ready to flight. So this needs your movement of your limbic system, and they need energy. So the first point is the heart rate goes up and the blood pressure increase the blood flow to quickly to supply the energy. But we need energy. So where's the energy from? Respirations. So what are the fuels of respirations? The gas, of course. So we breathe more rapid to get more oxygens. And what else? The sugar from the liver. Remember, when the sugar is absorbed, so most of them they are metabolized or uses in liver. So liver is the managing center. 70% of the sugar is stored in liver. So liver is a major site to uh, to to get the storage into and withdraw in the blood. So the blood sugar is clear, is released from the liver, and of course the adrenaline goes up. So where's adrenaline from? Adrenal gland. So let me just show you the location of the adrenal glands, okay? Because I'm going to have a endocrine system lectures, okay, next week. So this is the quick of the introduction of adrenal glands, okay? So this is the locations, okay, of adrenal glands. Adrenal is the kidney. So kidney, remember here some new terms, okay, for your, okay, kidney, okay, kidney, okay, is renal, is an adjective form, okay. The adjective form of the kidney is renal, and ad means the tip, the top, the roof, or the tip. So adrenal means the tip top of the kidney. And the gland, so gland is the glands located at the top of the kidney, 肾上腺, okay? So this gland secrete 2 chemicals or neurotransmitter, okay? The first transmitter is the first neurotransmitter is adrenaline, and the second is noradrenaline. So they are they are similar of their structure. So let's have a look for the adrenaline and noradrenaline. And of course, actually, the actually the dopamine are the derivatives, okay, of the catecholamine. So they're the 3 succeeding family, okay. So here, okay, is the structure of, so they are derivatives of the tyrosine, okay. So they're tyrosine derivatives, okay, and they will be metabolized by enzymes, okay, to produce a dopamine, norepinephrine, and epinephrine. So they're similar in their structure. They're the they're the brothers. They're the same family members, but they play a slightly different roles in central and peripheral. Okay. So what are their actions? So what are they do? So adrenaline will cause the blood vessel constrictions and increase heart rate, and they will relax the smooth muscle of the tract, the breathing tract, so make it wide open so we can breathe more air, okay. And then they have a flight or fight response. So the sympathetic is usually transient action. So what is the meaning of the transient? Transience means short time, okay. But the parasympathetic is all the time, okay. It's all the time, okay. Okay, so what happened is, oh, I use my whiteboard then. I hate this one. So usually in a resting state, so this is a resting state. The resting state is parasympathetic, the para. But something happened, okay? But something happened is the response happened. Something happened is, so sympathetic, so something happened. Something happened. For example, the lion's exam, okay? The stimulus happened, okay? So here is a elevation response. So the sympathetic, okay, is hyper. So you are hyper, okay? But the parasympathetics try to calm down, to normal. So the parasympathetic, okay, works more obvious. They want to calm you down to normal. Remember here, normal. So they play an opposite action. So they are opposite actions or antagonistic action. Okay, it's an opposite action here. Okay, right. So that's it. Okay, for the functionings of the sympathetic and parasympathetic systems. Okay. So any questions so far? Okay. So the receptors. Remember adrenaline, as I said, adrenaline, they attach, okay, to the receptors. So this consequently cause an increase of heart rate, increase of breathing rates. So these are the water soluble molecules. They perform the action via the receptors. So the receptors is termed as the name of the neurotransmitter, chemicals, or hormones. Okay, so for example, the receptors, so the acetylcholine receptors or adrenergic receptor is this receptor only bind with the adrenaline and or noradrenaline. Okay, so they name as a adrenergic receptors. Okay, so let's take a look at the first receptors, okay, the adrenergic receptors, AR. So there are two subtypes, the alpha and beta. Remember, we usually use the Greek symbol to represent the type A and type B, the alpha and beta. And alpha is subdivided into alpha 1 and alpha 2. So let's take a look for the, I Google it. So I Google, so I give you the full pictures of the adrenergic receptors. Okay, is a big family actually. Okay, right. So this is the hang on a minute. Oh yes. Okay, so I share the post here. So this is the, so when you study the pharmacology, okay, the pharmacology here, okay, or the drug action next semester in year 2, okay, if some of you, if you want to do pharmacists, so you need to know these pictures. Okay, now the adrenergic receptors is divided into alpha and beta, and the alpha is subdivided into alpha 1, alpha 2, beta 1, and beta 2. Why? Because they distribute different sites of the body. Okay, for example, the beta 1 is mainly located in the heart, okay, and the lungs, okay, is the alpha, the bladder, okay. The alpha 1 is mainly occur in the bladder, in the blood vessels, okay, and beta 2, okay, is located in bronchi, in the lungs. Okay, so when you look at here, so although the norepinephrine and epinephrine binds with the adrenergic receptors, some of the receptor in which the epinephrine is more especially bind to beta 1, beta 2, alpha 1, and alpha 2. So epinephrine is a non-selective ligands which they can bind in 4 areas. But some of the, for example, alpha 1, in which the norepinephrine is more selective than the epinephrine when they bind these receptors. Okay, so that's why there are 4 subtypes, because the binding effects with these 2 of the neurotransmitter are different. Okay, but generally speaking, the adrenaline binds to the adrenergic receptors. For example, in the heart, okay, which is the beta 1. So when the adrenaline binds to the beta subtype of the adrenergic receptors, they cause the muscle contraction, okay? And when the adrenaline binds to the alpha 2 subunits in the lungs, okay, in the blood vessels in the alpha 1, they cause the blood vessel contractions. They will cause so that's the reason why adrenaline increase your heart rate and increase your blood pressure, because the narrowing of your smooth muscles of the blood vessels, okay? And one more information is all of the subtypes of the adrenergic receptors are G protein coupled receptors, okay? Right, so after finish off the adrenergic receptors, we move on the acetylcholine receptors. Now, acetylcholine is made up of 2 chemicals. Okay, when you look at the figures on your right-hand side, you see that the acetate, okay, or as the adrenaline, okay, is actually the combinations of the choline and acetyl-CoA. So remember the glycolysis, okay, the glycolysis in which here the glucose is splitted into pyruvates, okay, which is the 3C, the three carbon, and it's further broken down is to acetyl-CoA. And acetyl-CoA can be diffused inside the mitochondria to and acts as the starting materials of the Krebs cycle. But here, the acetyl-CoA has another use. Now, this acetyl-CoA combined with choline to form a neurotransmitter, acetylcholine. Okay, and acetylcholine will bind to the 2 receptors. They are both termed as cholinergic receptors. But why the name of this receptor is cholinergic receptor instead of the acetylcholine receptor is because the choline is recycled. However, the acetyl-CoA is metabolized in acetate, okay, and degraded, because acetyl-CoA can be continuously supplied from the glucose. So choline, the choline as here is recycled. So they name as a cholinergic receptors. Okay, get it? So the acetylcholine binds to the receptors on the postsynaptic or muscles. So there are 2 divisions, the nicotinic and muscarinic receptors. All right. So they play a role in the parasympathetic divisions. Okay. So but this is different from the adrenergic receptors. Now, all adrenergic receptors are G protein coupled receptor. However, muscarinic receptor is a G protein coupled receptor, but the nicotinic receptor is a ligand gate ion channels. Okay, Okay, so remember here. And secondly, there are 5 subtypes of the muscarinic receptors in which the M1, M4, and M5 are found in CNS. M2 and M3 are found in the heart. So these are their functions. Okay, and nicotinic receptors have 2 subdivisions, the muscles. So one of the receptor located in the skeletal muscle to have a connection, connection with the neurons by the neuromuscular junction. It's a synapse between the neurons and muscles. And this is how we can perform the order to contract the muscle. Okay, so we put an M here. M stand for the muscle, and N for the neuron. So they act as the ganglia or the middleman, the interface. Okay, in the CNS. So the nicotinic in neurons and or nicotinic in muscular system. Okay, and these are the example of their effect in the cardiovascular divisions. Okay. So that's all about the brief, the glance, the glance of the acetylcholine receptors. Okay, so let's move on the dopamine receptors. Okay, so there's 3 brothers. Okay, the dopamine is already discovered in midst of the last century. However, we have not have a full understanding the actions of the dopamine. Thanks for the MRI. Okay, so MRI can give us a very instant, okay, reflection. So we can have a machines, and then we can ask the patient or the animal to perform the action. So we can visualize, okay, we can look at the change, the distribution of dopamine under the MRI. So nowadays we have a clear pictures of the function of MRI. They control a variety of the actions, including the locomotor activity, cognitive. The cognitive means the perceptions, okay, reinforcement, the addictions, etc. And there are 5 subtypes of the dopamine: the D1, the D5, okay. So they distribute in different locations. So they build up a different of the system in the brain, okay. So we finished off the previous section on the parasympathetic divisions. Okay, we move on the structure and the workflow of the sensory receptors. The primary action is to respond to stimulus. It's said to be sensation. It's to sense different kind of stimulus. So there are 5 kinds of receptors to detect 5 major types of the stimulus. Okay, and then they transmit the signals via the electrical. So there are different types of the stimulus. For example, the chemical, the lights, the heats, the mechanical, and the chemical signals. So they were transformed into the electricals to the brain, and our brain will perceive. Perceive means we make a judgment, we make interpretations, so we know what it is. For example, the girls, she just smell it. Okay, so these are the so she close her eyes, you just feel it. So and then, oh, it's a flowers. Okay, the smell from flowers, not the other substances. Okay, so as I said, there are 5 general types of the receptors. The first type is a chemoreceptors. Chemo, which means a chemical, including what? Okay, so these are the vast variety of chemicals. Gas, the gas, the gas, okay, the smell, taste. So these are the chemoreceptors. What a gas? Okay, CO2. Okay, the CO2. Okay, the CO2 dissolved in water will form a. If the CO2 in the blood, when they mixed it with water, okay, they will form the carbonic acid. Okay, the carbonic acid H2CO3, and H2CO3 will dissociate into the H plus but HCO3 minus. So the H plus is released and detected by the blood. So we can sense, okay, the change of pH. Okay, so the H plus is a pH. We can sense the pH. So these are the chemical signals. Okay, the chemical signals. Okay. So the chemoreceptor is to detect the change of the acid, the blood pH, the smell, okay, the taste. So these are chemicals. The pain is especially to detect the damaged area. So the pain receptor is a protective, is one of the protective reflex of the body. And sometimes the thermal is correlated with pain, but however, the thermal has another section is to protect us from maintaining the stable body temperature. Okay, and the mechanical is about the movement. Okay, when we move it, we touch on the ground, so we can feel the different texture, or something hit us, or the atmospheric pressure. So these are the pressural change. Okay, and the final one is specific for lights, the photo. So the photo including two stimulus, the intensive light, the darkness, okay, the two lights, and the colors of light. As you have learned about chemistry, the light, the photons, has a wide variety of spectrum, depend on the energy. So for eyes, we can detect the special range, the specific range of the light spectrum from 400 to 700 nanometers of the wavelength, which is said to be color light spectrum. Okay. So the photoreceptors, so there are two sets of receptors. The rod cell of the retina and cone cell retina is to detect the light intensity and colors respectively. Okay. Right. So let's take a look for the sensations. Okay. So this is what I described here. Okay. Is the feelings. These five kinds of the sensory stimulus. Okay. Now we move on somatic. Somatics mean the body senses. So which are the body senses? The first one is a touch and pressure. Okay. The skin. Okay, the earth endings, okay, the mesentery. So one of the good examples is lips, because the lips has a special function. They taste the textures of food and the heat of food. When we touch the heat of food, it's hot. So we will have a hot feeling. Oh, we don't eat it. So it prevent from the heating damage of the hurt of our mouth. Okay, and the fingerprints. Okay, to detect the deep pressure. And second is the temperature sensors. Okay, so when the surrounding conditions drop less than 10 and more than 45 degrees Celsius, they will stimulate the sensation. So we feel the pain, okay, the pain of heat. So it's actually expressed the pain. It's hot and pain if it's too hot. So when the temperature rise over 45 degrees Celsius, they will activate the pain as well, the pain receptors. And on the other hand, when the temperature dropped it below 10, we feel freezing pain. Okay. So the third is a sensation pain. Okay, in the body pain. Okay, so there are two of the signals. The acute pain signals is rapid, but the chronic pain is unmodulated because they're slow. They're chronic, so they happen for period of time. So the chronic pain is defined as the pain persists more than a day or even 2 weeks. They're said to be chronic pain. Okay. So that's it for the somatic pain. Remember the touch and pressure, the temperature and pain. Okay. And the special senses are the five senses. Which five? The smell, the olfactory, the auditory. The first one is the smelling, because the reason why I put on the first, because we look at here, the nerve endings have is very close. It's very directed to the olfactory area in the brain. So when you smell something, the reaction is really, really quick. Okay, so the olfactory has another common connections. Okay, so when you look at this table, the ova, the smell, okay, and the taste, they go into the same destination. Okay, so when we taste the food, that's why we need to be smell and taste. They both. Okay, so another thing is the olfactory receptor adapt quickly. We smell something bad, but when you keep in that condition for a period of time, your sensation will lose. Will be more less sensitive because of adaptation. You adapt it, so we won't feel it. Okay, and it's the same case as the taste. The taste bud is a receptor, so they are chemoreceptors. So you need to taste the food in moisture. So we need the help of the saliva. So the food chemical can dissolve in the saliva and interact well with the receptors. So we can taste the food, okay? And these receptors located in taste bud, but some areas is particularly sensitive to the specific taste, for example, sour, the bitter, and salty. But it doesn't represent that you put the salty in here, we won't taste salty. No, they're highly sensitive because a large number of receptor that sensitive to the sweet or salty. Okay. Okay, so the taste, the odor, they go to the loop, the same area. Okay. Now the hearing. Now the auditory has three parts. The first part is to detect the direction of sound. And now remember, the design of a ear is to detect a very low, very tiny voice. So if you have a noisy condition, they will damage our ears, because the outer ears is to amplify the signals into so what is the signal? Is a frequency, it's a sound frequency, it's a waveform, okay, into the tympanic membrane or the eardrum. Okay, the eardrum is to transform the frequency into mechanical signals by three optical bones in the middle ears. They are medullus, incus, and staples. Okay, so these bones will transform the mechanical signals into the round windows. Okay, the flow of the fluids will get in touch. Okay, cause the touching and cause the hair receptors in the round windows, and this touching is the vibration of the hair receptors will cause the vibration will cause the depolarization of the receptors and generate the action potential. Okay, so I've summarized the functions of the parts of the ears in this table. Okay, so if you have already attend my basic human biology tutorial, so if you have the background of DSE, so it won't really difficult. Okay, so the auditory signals terminate in the temporal lobes. Okay, temporal lobes. Okay, now the final, another one is the eyes. The eye is a fluid filled of the spherical shape. It's divided into is composed of three layers. The outer layer is a fibrous tonic. The fibrous tonic is to protect the eyeball and to maintain the shape of eyeball. And in the middle here is a transparent side. Is to allow the lights to pass through the eyes. Yes. 係點樣？咩事？係阿馮小姐。Yeah. So, all right. Okay. So, oh my God. One more before the break. Okay. So the tonic. Okay, here. So this is the. Oh my God. Okay, the fibrous is to allow the light to come through. Okay, and the structure of the eye is to be the blood supply is of the vascular tonic. The vascular tonic, okay, is to supply the structure, and nervous tonic is embedded in retina. Okay, so they contain the photoreceptors. Okay, to receive the, so there are different. So there are different layers. Okay, it's a ganglion is to relay interface, and then they pass the signals to the retina cones, the rod and cone cells, and collected into the optical fibers and going to the left and right and terminate in the occipital loops of the brain. Okay, so that's it for the first session of the AMP. So we stop here. So we have about 10 minutes break, and then we have a second announcement, especially on the AMP tutorial. and okay, and the release of the answer key. Okay, so let's take a break. Okay, and we come back later. Okay. So system. Okay, so let's carry on the muscular system. Okay, so let's take a look for the muscle tissue, the fourth tissue we're looking at. Okay, so there are four tissue as you learned in the lecture 4. Okay, which are the epithelial, connective, neural, and the muscle tissue, in which half of the tissue are muscle tissues. So it's a big part. Half of our body is muscle tissues, and followed by the connective tissue. And epithelial tissue is only play a small part of it. Okay, and when we go further in the following session, there are three types of the muscle tissues. They are the skeletal muscle, the cardiac, which is the heart, and smooth muscle, the inner body muscle tissues. Okay, so let's take a look for the so what are the differences? So let's take a look from the structure first. Okay, so when you look at here, there's a lot of band. There's a dark band here, like a barcode. Okay, so they are the A band. Not band A, it's A band. Okay, it's a darkness band. Okay, so this band we use a description. Okay, we use a description of the striate form. Striate. Okay, striate, which means it's very clear to see the line here. Okay, it's a a lot of units. Okay, it's regular units. They've arranged in order. Okay, and it's similar. It's happened in the So it happens in the cardiac muscle tissues. They all striate. It means they can create a power of the contraction. Okay. So for the heart beating, or we want to liberate something, it create a large object. It's a leverage. Okay. And but the difference between the skeletal muscle and heart tissue is the skeletal muscle tissue in which the muscle attached to the bones. However, heart do not have the attachment on the bones. Okay, and of course only unique the skeletal muscle is a unique tissue, is under voluntary action, because we can control the body, okay, contraction, but not others. We can't control the heartbeat. Okay. Now when we look at the middle, the smooth muscle tissue, the loosened form, the less organized, and the no striate is observed, which means the contraction power is weak. They have a rhythmatic of the contractions. So this muscle is found in the viscera, internal organs. Okay, the GI tract, the stomach, intestine, the urinary bladder, the blood vessel, etc. Okay. Now the muscle is unique from others of other cell because they're long spindle like a fiber. So we usually describe as a muscle fiber. They're cell, but they're long and thin. Okay, and they have four characteristics make them different from other cells. For example, the excitability. They same as the the same as the neurons. They are excitable, which means they respond to electrical stimulus. Okay, and secondly, the contraction. So let me use the rubber. So this is the rubber band. Okay. Okay, sorry. So this is a rubber band. Okay. So this is the okay. So this is the rubber band. Okay, or 向前啲. Okay, rubber band. Okay. So the contractile means shorten length of the length, and they can extend. Extend means they can elong the length. Okay. And so elong the length, and they can return to the original shape, elasticity. Contraction, extension, return to the original of the shape. Okay, so there are four characteristics of the muscle fiber. Okay, so let's move on the next one. Okay, so firstly we introduce the skeletal muscles. Okay, now it's about 640 muscle in the body. Some of the people, they have less or more. Okay, so 640 just a common number. Common is most people have 640 muscles. Okay, and they make 40 or half of your body weights. Okay, so the functions of the muscle is to what? Of course, movements, including the whole body movements, your eyeballs movements. You can look at right, look at left, and then you can have a facial expression, your vocal voice, okay, and posture and stability. Now this is important because we are not on Earth. Our action is to prevent is an anti-gravitational force, so we can remain different position, okay, and of course during the rest, the heat is mainly generated from the liver. However, during exercise or in the cold winter, so the muscle shivering and muscle shivering, or we do exercise, the muscle will generate energy and heat will be produced as well. So 80% of heat is generated from the muscle during exercise and during winter and cold conditions, okay? And of course, the muscle protect our internal organs, okay, with the bones, okay, bones and the muscle, okay, they help to protect our internal organs, okay? Okay, so this is the gross anatomy of the skeletal muscle. It looks like a cartoon of the meat, right? Okay, 好似卡通嗰啲肉咁啦。Okay 啊。So this is So this is how the muscle attach to the bones. Okay, so the muscle attached with the bone by the tendons, which is the connective tissue. The tendons connected, okay, warped the muscles, okay? And remember the muscle, the cell is a fiber, okay, in the fiber, okay? So I will play the video, and of course the sound quality is not good this morning, but try it again. And and these two videos has already available on Soul, okay? So the muscle fiber is a long fiber, okay? It's a long fiber, okay? So it's warped by the cell membrane. Remember, the muscle cell, we have another adjective form, okay? The adjective form, okay? So the muscle fiber is a sacral, the sacral. Sacral means muscle fibers, okay? Sacroplasmic, okay? Sacral is a prefix, okay? So therefore, the sacrolamina is a cell membrane of the muscle fiber, okay? And sacroplasmic reticulum is only found in the heart, in the muscle, because they are the site for the storage of calcium. Now, calcium plays a very important role in the contractions, okay? And the T-tubulus is the channel for the ions, okay? And especially for the sodium ions. So sodium ions travel along the T-tubulus and cause the depolarization and cause the release of calcium, okay? And cytoplasm is cytoplasm of the muscle fiber, okay? So it's easy, okay? So this is a portion. Portion means the parts of the contractile units, because the primary functions, okay, of the muscle is to contract. So they use the contraction as a unit expression, okay? So this is a portion, okay? The portions of the myofibril. Myo means the muscle fiber, okay? So remember, okay, here, okay, so the muscle have two of the terms, okay, myo or sacral means muscle, okay? So there are two of the abbreviate or prefix terms, okay? So this is a myofibril, a portion of contractile units, okay? So when you see the darkness side, it's actually the A band. The A band is a darkness side, okay? So there are two lines. The mid lines are M, the middle, and the zigzag. Zigzag is Z, it's zigzag line, okay? So the midline is to attach a thick protein filaments, okay? And the Z disc or Z line is to attachments of the thin filaments. So the thick filaments is responsible for contraction of the muscle, okay? So sarcomere is a contraction units of the muscle fiber. So the A band, okay, is the contraction site, okay, the move forward, okay, create a darker side. And remember, the sarcomere is composed of the Z line. So this Z line, okay, is the units of the contraction because Z line is the anchor to the thin filaments and M line anchor the thick filaments. So this constitutes to the contraction units. So sarcomere is a contraction units of the muscle fiber, okay?
Of a single muscle, we would find it is covered in a protective sheath or layer called the epimysium. The epimysium protects the muscle from friction against other muscles and bones. It also continues at the end of the muscle to form, along with other connective tissues, the tendon which attaches the muscle to the bone. Each muscle is made up of a number of bundles of muscle fibers called fasciculi. The fasciculi are contained within another connective tissue called the perimysium. Each bundle of muscle fibers contains anywhere from 10 and 100 individual fibers. A large, strong muscle, such as those in the quadriceps group, would have a large number of fibers within each bundle. A smaller muscle used for precision movement, such as those in the hand, would contain far fewer muscle fibers in each bundle. Each muscle fiber is also covered in a fibrous connective layer of tissues called the endomysium, which insulates each fiber. Beneath the endomysium is the sarcolemma, which is the muscle fiber's cell membrane, and beneath this is the sarcoplasm. This is a gelatinous fluid which contains glycogen and fats for energy, as well as mitochondria, inside which the cell's energy is produced. Each muscle fiber itself contains cylindrical organelles known as myofibrils. Each muscle fiber contains hundreds or thousands of myofibrils, which themselves are bundles of proteins called actin and myosin. These run the length of the muscle fiber and are important in muscle contraction. Surrounding the myofibril, there is a network of tubules and channels called the sarcoplasmic reticulum, where calcium is stored, which is also important for muscle contraction. Each myofibril can be broken down into functional repeating segments called sarcomeres, which are the basis for muscle contraction theory known as sliding filament theory. For more on physical education and sports coaching, don't forget to click like and subscribe.
So this is about the organization table, okay, of the this is the about the structure of the skeletal muscle, okay. Now this is the contraction units, okay, the M line, the Z. So this is a contraction units. The sarcomere is from this zig on the one side to another side, okay. So this is the length of the sarcomere, okay. So the Z is connected to the thin filaments, and the M line, okay, anchor means attach the thick filaments, okay. So the contraction means two thin filament move towards the midline, okay, to create a contraction and then return to the original site. I said to be relaxations, okay. So simply say, okay, the contraction is move forward is contracted, move forward is contraction, and return to the origin is relaxations, okay. Okay, get it? So return to the original position, okay, away from the midline, okay, it's said to be relaxed. So we'll go through the mechanism later, okay. So as I said, the muscle contraction is controlled by the neuronal, the neuronal, okay, the neuromuscular junctions, okay, is a gap between the neurons and muscle. The mechanism is exactly same as an axon terminal, but the neurotransmitter release to the muscle instead of the postsynaptic neurons. They release to the receptors embedded on the sacrolamina, and then cause the action potential on the muscle fiber. Okay, and transmission and the T tubule bring the sodiums to the muscle fiber and generate the electrical mechanical coupling in which the calcium release. Okay, so let's watch a video. Okay, on the neuromuscular junctions. Okay. Oh, so okay, sorry.
Occur in 7 coordinates, travel from the brain or spinal cord to trigger the contraction of skeletal muscles. An action potential propagates down a motor neuron to a skeletal muscle fiber. The site where a motor neuron excites a skeletal muscle fiber is called the neuromuscular junction. This junction is a chemical synapse consisting of the points of contact between the axon terminals of a motor neuron and the motor end plate of a skeletal muscle fiber. The events at the neuromuscular junction occur in 7 coordinated steps. Step 1. An action potential travels the length of the axon of a motor neuron to an axon terminal. Step 2. Voltage-gated calcium channels open and calcium ions diffuse into the terminal. Step 3. Calcium entry causes synaptic vesicles to release acetylcholine via exocytosis. Step 4. Acetylcholine diffuses across the synaptic cleft and binds to acetylcholine receptors, which contain ligand-gated cation channels. Step 5. These ligand-gated cation channels open. Step 6. Sodium ions, shown here in red, enter the muscle fiber, and potassium ions, shown here in blue, exit the muscle fiber. The greater inward flux of sodium ions relative to the outward flux of potassium ions causes the membrane potential to become less negative. Step 7. Once the membrane potential reaches a threshold value, an action potential propagates along the sarcolemma. Neural transmission to a muscle fiber ceases when acetylcholine is removed from the synaptic cleft. This removal occurs in 2 ways. 1.
So that's it. So that's about the functioning of the neurotransmitter. Okay, so the step number 1 here, okay, is the, so here is the the release, so the motor neuron exactly same as the synapse in the previous lecture, in the lecture 8, okay? So the acetylcholine release on and across the gap and attach, okay, to the ligand gate ion channel, which is the cholinergic receptors or the nicotinic receptors, to generate the action potential, okay? So the action potential, okay, cause the release of the calciums from the sarcolemma, and they will drop that to the myofibrils, okay, and they will attach on the thin filaments, okay. So this is how, okay, we control the muscular contraction, okay. So let's take a look for the mechanism of contraction here. So let's take a look, okay. So at the beginning, the ATP attached to the myosin head. So this is myosin head. So this is the, okay, okay. So this is the myosin head. So they pulled it downwards because of ATP. The ATP pull in downwards. So the head cannot touch on the thin filaments, okay? Now what happened is when the ATP split it into ADP and phosphates, so they left. So what happened? No pulling force, so they go ahead. So this is thin filaments, they go and attach on the binding site, okay, of the thin filaments. And before the attachment, the calcium bonded to the dopamine. The dopamine turned the binding site face to the myosin head. After they touch the myosin head, okay, they move forward. So they will pull the thin filaments towards the M line, okay? And afterwards, the ATP touch again and pull downwards and go to the cycle as you look at these pictures here, okay? So so in the beginnings, okay, the ATP, okay, the ATP when they so the ATP cause the attachment of myosin head, so they won't attach it. When the calcium, okay, diffuse and interact with the dopamine, so the active site, the active binding site face to the myosin head. At the same time, the ATP is hydrolyzed, in which the phosphate and ATP split it, they separated. So the myosin heads touch, okay, they touch on the active site of the thin filaments, and they pull, and they pull towards the M line. So this M line, they pull towards the M line until the ATP join again, and then they will pull downwards. Okay, and this cycle and cause of relaxation till the thin filament returns to the original position. Okay， 去到冇問題啦，咁我就會再去 play 一個 video 嘅。OK 啊。好，等陣先啊，我一 type 緊呢個嘅 model 先啊，我再 share。OK， 放心啊，今次唔會甩碌噶啦。OK 啊。
This Christmas, share a little more bliss with Lindor.
Okay, so this is sliding theory. Okay, 哇，好 rock 嘅真係。Sorry, I played the wrong video. 好核突呢個啊。OK， 後尾嚟。
Sliding filament theory is the mechanism by which muscles are thought to contract at a cellular level. An understanding of the structure of skeletal muscle is useful when learning how sliding filament theory works. Each muscle is made up of a number of bundles of muscle fibers. Each bundle of muscle fibers contains anywhere from 10 and 100 individual fibers. Each muscle fiber itself contains cylindrical organelles of a sarcomere, it consists of actin and myosin. When a nerve impulse arrives at the muscle, it causes a release of a chemical called acetylcholine. The presence of acetylcholine causes depolarization, enabling calcium to be released from the sarcoplasmic reticulum. The calcium binds to troponin, changing its shape and so moving tropomyosin from the active site of the actin. The myosin filaments can now attach to the actin, forming a cross bridge. The breakdown of ATP releases energy, which enables the myosin to pull the actin filaments inwards, contracting the muscle. This occurs along the entire length of every myofibril in the muscle cell. When an ATP molecule binds to the myosin head, the myosin detaches from the actin and the cross bridge is broken. When the ATP is then broken down, the myosin head can again attach to an actin binding site further along the actin filament and repeat the process. This repeated pulling of the actin over the myosin is often known as the ratchet mechanism. This process of muscular contraction can last for as long as there are adequate ATP and Ca+ stores. Once the nerve impulse stops, the Ca+ is pumped back to the sarcoplasmic reticulum and the actin returns to its resting position, causing the muscle to lengthen and relax.
So this is the animation of the
Hey everyone, and welcome back to Cooking with.
sorry.
Today we're doing a delicious dissection, picking.
Okay, sorry. All right, so let's go back to the slide here. Okay, so and then that's it for the mechanisms of the muscle contraction. So you know that the function of the neuromuscular junction, as I said last lecture. Okay. So the energy, ATP, is a primary resources. However, there are limited amount in the muscles because the design of our human body is for just a short burst of the release of energy for short running, just for keep our about, like other predators, for example, tiger, lions, leopards, they just run for a short period of time, maybe a few 10 or 15 seconds. They stop that because we need to save energy. No one will run the marathon in the ancient world because they waste a lot of energy. So why we do that? Because we have food, we have meals, we don't worry about the chasing of food. But the primitive, okay, years ago or ages, okay, the people, they usually stay here to keep their energy safe, okay. So what happened for our body, okay, have to keep a long running or long distance of the continuous exercise. What happened then? Now for the short duration, it means, so what is a short duration means? About few seconds to 10 or 15 seconds. It relies on a creatine phosphate. Now creatine phosphate is usually found in the muscle. So some of you may do a blood test. So they would test the creatine level in the urine and blood. If your heart or your muscle has some problems or your kidney has some problems, you see the creatine in the urine. And normally no creatine phosphate appear in urine. They usually inside the muscle, okay? But anyway, the creatine is to provide the energy, okay, for a few seconds. But after a few seconds, what happened? They rely on the respiration. But respiration takes times. So the glucose and the lack of energy in the beginning, because the lack of oxygen, because we're running, we need a large amount of oxygen. So they do in the dual mode. In the absence of air, they're still going, but only glycolysis to produce 2 ATP is a very ineffective way, and the lactic acid make you feel fatigue, okay? It can produce 2 ATP. But when the time goes, okay, the oxygen's demand, okay, so we breathe more air, so more oxygen supplied, so the respiration can continue, can carry on the work, so we can make 36 ATP, okay, and the long term of the exercise, okay. So any question here about the skeletal muscle? So I give you about 1 minute to think. And secondly, there are two types of the smooth muscle cell. The first one is a physical. The visceral means they are stomach, intestine, And the multi-subunits they found in the blood vessels, the iris and this of the tissue. So what are the difference? The first difference is their functions, okay? So they display a rhythmatic, which means they contracted, okay? And they have a repeated waveform of contraction, like you're watching the football. Some people are doing a waveform, some standing up and next one is sitting down. It's a waveform of the pattern of the synchronized contractions. However, the multimedia, they contract or they have in response to stimulus, for example, the light. The light will cause the constriction of the eyes, dilations, okay? The pupil constrictions, and the wall, okay? The pressure or the water or other stimulus, okay? Cause the blood vessel constriction or dilatations. So the response is differences. They only contract in response. And the organizations is that they can stimulate with each other. For example, if I swallow it, so the front relaxed and the back contracted, and front relaxed, contracted, cause the peristalsis. Okay, the relax in the front and contract at the back to push, okay, the foot in the one unit directions. Okay, so they have different of the purpose. So when you look at the differences, so you see that so this visceral smooth muscle found in the stomach and intestine and unit bladder. Okay. Okay, so this is the tissues, the histology, okay, of the intestine, okay, and the arterial smooth muscle, 動脈嘅平滑肌, okay. So they don't have the gap junctions, okay, or so they don't have the neuromuscular junction, but they have a junction like of the vesicles, okay. So this looks like knots or swellings, okay, to release the neurotransmitter to the muscle, okay. And the muscle contraction are slow, okay. They are synchronized contractions, okay. And the electrons, okay, or the ions is passed through the gap junctions, okay. So this consume less ATP, okay, because they regularly contracted. It's different from the skill muscle. So when I'm here, if there's no order, the muscle is keep a relaxed state. But sometimes we need to liberate heavy substances, so more ATP is consumed. But for the smooth muscle or swallowing, or blood vessels, wherever, they keep contracting, so they need less energy consumed. So the contraction strength is much less than the skeletal muscle. Okay. So that's it for the smooth muscle. So we move on the cardiac muscles. Cardiac, okay, means the heart, okay. So it's a Latin, okay. So cardia, okay, cardiac, okay, the cardia, okay, means the room or chamber. Is a Latin, okay. It's a Latin. It's still called a note. It's a room or chamber, okay. So it's uniquely found in the heart, okay. They don't have the tendons attached to the bones, and they are controlled involuntary actions by the autoelectricity. So let me share the pictures and video on the cardiac muscle, okay. So when you look at here, the conduction system, okay. So yes, this one is a better one. So the heartbeat is initiated from the SA nodes or the pacemaker. So SA signal atrial nodes is located at the atrial wall. So they exhibit the firing, the action potential, the fire through the AV nodes. This node is located between the atria and ventricles. So some of the firing causes a contraction of the atria, and the AP generated proceeded to the left and the right and left branches of his and to the Purkinje fiber. And Purkinje fiber causes the depolarization of ventricle and causes ventricle contractions. Okay, so let's watch a video on how the heart, how the conduction system of the heart.
The cardiac conduction system consists of the following components: the sinoatrial node, or SA node, located in the right atrium near the entrance of the superior vena cava. This is the natural pacemaker of the heart. It initiates all heartbeat and determines heart rate. Electrical impulses from the SA node spread throughout both atria and stimulate them to contract. The atrioventricular node, or AV node, located on the other side of the right atrium near the AV valve. The AV node serves as electrical gateway to the ventricles. It delays the passage of electrical impulses to the ventricles. This delay is to ensure that the atria have ejected all the blood into the ventricles before the ventricles contract. The AV node receives signals from the SA node and passes them onto the atrioventricular bundle, AV bundle, or bundle of His. This bundle is then divided into right and left bundle branches, which conduct the impulses toward the apex of the heart. The signals are then passed onto Purkinje fibers, turning upward and spreading throughout the ventricular myocardium. Electrical activities of the heart can be recorded in the form of electrocardiogram, ECG, or EKG. An ECG.
So that's about so that's how the heart contraction is controlled by the electricity. Okay, it's a conduction system. So we'll go through this system, okay, next semester. Okay, and of course the speed, the heart rate, the strength of heart is controlled by short term by the neural and long term by hormonal. Okay, so let me just have a here. Okay, there's footnotes here. The short term effects by the neural. Okay, for example, the adrenaline. Okay, adrenaline, and the long-term effects. The long-term effects by the hormonal. Okay, hormonal is a lot. Okay, for example, thyroid. Okay, the thyroid hormones. Okay, the thyroid hormones. Okay, so they will regulate the heartbeat, the heart beating. Okay, prolongedly. Okay. So that's all about the, yes, okay, that's it, okay. All right, oh my God. Right. So this is the gap junctions, okay. The gap junction is obviously observed, okay, in the cardiac cell, okay. So the passage of the sodium to generate the action potential, the electrical signals, okay. So that's it about the introduction of the smooth and the cardiac muscle tissues. So we're moving on the actions of the skeletal muscle, okay? So remember there's a terms, the insertion and the origin. So origin is a immovable end. For example here, so this is my tricep. Okay, look at my big tricep here. So this is the origins. So when I contract it, I move the insertion point towards the origins. Okay, so during frictions, during contraction, so the insertion move towards the origins, okay, to create a leverage actions. Okay, so there are different types of the muscle movement, so you can do it at home for the so do it at home because now we are in pandemic, so you need to do more exercise at home, so you can follow the exercise here, the friction, extension, friction, extension, the hyperextension, deduction, hyperextension, rotation, and then the adduction, etc. Okay, so you can move so you can follow. Okay, these pictures for the to help you to memorize the terms. Okay. So the last final section is about the names of the major skeletal muscle. Of course, there are 640 muscles. It's impossible to require you to know all of this name, but actually, at least you know the name. So how we name the muscle? Okay, by the following criteria: the size, the shape, locations, and number of attachment, and even of the direction of its fiber. But mostly on the shape, the size, and the locations. Okay, the name of 3 bases. Okay, right, so get it? Okay, Right, so let's move on. So these are the, I'll highlight some of the important muscles because they're easily to be damaged, they're hurt, and some of the interesting, okay, of the muscle, okay? So the first one is the, only memorize the mastication. Mastication means to chewing, okay? Help you chewing the food, okay? The masseter and temporalis, okay? So these two help for the mastication, and the eyes of Achilles, okay? This is the muscle, okay? So this is the muscle, the oculus, keep you the eyes, brows, okay, here, okay? Here is a neck, is a trapezius. Trapezius is the size, is the shape of the muscle. It's a very large or pieces of area. So they help us to rotate the shoulder and to move our shoulder and rotate our neck, okay? So this is the very important of the muscle, okay, for the neck. And this is the longest group of the erector spinae. So this is a group of the muscle extended from the neck into your back. Is to cause a large of the movement of your leg, okay? So when you, okay, perform the action here, okay? Perform the actions, okay? So like here. So this is the rotation from the left, okay, to the right, okay? It's a big rotation, okay? So they have a large of the long of the muscle attached from the neck and to your hip bones. It's the longest muscle groups of the body, okay? And the muscles responsible for the respiration is the two muscles, the diaphragm. The diaphragm, the dome shape, okay, help for the to change the lung capacity. And secondly, the muscle between the ribs are the intercostal. Costal means the rib. Intercostal means the muscle between the ribs, okay? So to help contract it and move forward and upwards of the ribs, okay? And this one, a lot of people, they do a lot of exercise. So the core muscle group, the core muscles is a group of the abdominis, okay? The rectus. Rectus means the rectangular shape of the muscle, and the external obliquely, okay? Okay, right. So, and the parietal, the girdle. So one is a deltoid. The deltoid is the strongest, okay, and trapezius. So this is help you to have fighting, okay? So when you look at boxer, look at here, the muscle here is really, really strong, okay? Because it's a generation of the big forces from the back, okay? And of course, the deltoid, and this is the major side, the bicep and tricep, the most famous of the muscle group name, okay? And forearm here is the pectoralis, okay? And the hands, and we move to the thighs is a group of the muscle. The femoris is a muscle to control your upper limbs, the lower limbs, and the leg is governed by the gestural collisus attached to the strongest of the tendons of the body. Is Achilles tendons. It's the name of the myth of God, or the Greek myth, Achilles. Achilles is the strongest person in the world, but the Paris made an arrow and shoot his back, so he lost his strength and he died. So scientists utilize his name as the names of tendons. Okay, it's a stronger tendons of the body. Okay, and the sulcus is the attachment to make a movement of your legs. Okay. So so we have already, okay, I have already marked it, okay, and my colleagues will upload the result very soon. Okay, so let's check the answer first. Okay, so which bones do not belongs to a particular, of course, the sternum, sternum. Okay, and the short bones, of course, ankle. Okay, the femur, the humerus, and the cranium, they are the flat bones, the long bones. So only this is short bones. Okay, and I'm sorry, because of the nodes, there's a conflict of the nodes and the revision nodes. So so actually both are correct. So 8 to 10 and 8 to 12, but 11 and 12 are floating ribs. Okay, so if you answer C or D, I give you correct marks. Okay, and 4 is a Langerhans cell. Okay, no problem at all. And the 5th, a lot of students answered incorrectly. So maintain the intracellular concentration is a sodium and potassium pump. Okay, and all of you answer correctly here for 7 and number 8. The movable mandible is B, not D. You can't move your nasal bone, okay? And a lot of students answer it incorrectly. Hypothalamus do not belongs to the of the integumentary system, okay? And 10 is only D. So I think all of you answered correctly in the question A, but in response to drop of body temperature, it means when the temperature drop, what is your the skin, okay? What happened, the rose is the contraction of erector pili muscle, and through muscle constriction. A lot of you do in both answer. I give you half, 2. And opposite, okay? And what happened is to trigger the release of the neurotransmitter or cause the release of the vesicle. Oh my God. Some of you answer is A minus. So what is A minus then? And some of you answer sodium or and potassium. They are cation. Sodium and potassium are cation. Cation is a positive charge. Okay, get it? Okay. So this time is worse than the assessment 1. Okay, so you can bind together, so you can combine, so you can calculate it, so you can add the result of assessment 1 and assessment 2. You got the marks. Okay, for example, you got 30 last time, 30 this time, you got 60 out of 100 then, and then 40% of the final assessment. Okay, after 20th of December, so you get a final marks. Okay. Okay, so that's it for today's lectures. Okay, so see you this Friday. Remember, okay, this Friday will be the lab practical. Of course, yes, you can say the correct, yes. So I will upload the lab practical report tomorrow. Remember, attend the lab practical on Friday via Zoom. Okay, see you on this Friday. So, okay, see you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.